across the world, getting people to volunteer and be a part. I have three ladies from three different agencies here with me this afternoon. They are coordinators in various positions, and they are going to bring information and tell you about volunteering and what it can add to your life because they need you. Okay, just like all of the employers that are there with the out here in our business community with all the signs saying, we're hiring and we're looking. These agencies are looking for good volunteers, and there are many great positions. And there's a lot that you can learn and build upon being a volunteer. Now, I know that to be true because I was a volunteer from the time that I was in kindergarten all the way up to this present day, okay? A volunteer, all right? So I want you to make sure that you take some good notes about becoming a volunteer and where you can volunteer and what you can do. How you can build yourself as a volunteer. So let me introduce my guest today. I have with me Catherine. Wait, hold on just a second. I have with me Catherine. Hold on. No, I'm going. I have this. I have Crystal, Hannah, and Catherine, who are here with me. I'd like you to introduce yourself and your agencies. Let's start with you.
Yes, my name's Hannah. I'm with the Child Abuse and Neglect Council. That's the CAN Council. We are really just there. We're building communities that are free from child abuse and neglect. And we do that through prevention, education, and intervention programs.
Okay.
And I am Crystal with Underground Railroad, and we are bringing awareness to domestic violence, sexual assault, stalking, and trafficking in our community. And we too would like to see our community free of these issues. And so we do prevention education, but we offer shelter, therapy, advocacy, counseling, safe visits. We have a resale store, so lots to talk about this evening.
Absolutely.
Hello, I'm Catherine Martinez. I'm with Child and Family Services out of Saginaw, and we are a nonprofit counseling agency that is helping individuals and families achieve personal growth and emotional health.
Okay, very good. Now, your different positions, you all work in the business of getting volunteers in that particular position. Okay, is that the only thing that you do in that position?
No, I am the marketing and fund development manager for Child and Family Services. So my job is to go out and do social media, social recruitment of volunteers, be out in the community, doing outreach events to fundraising. And we utilize volunteers for all those types of positions. Our biggest one is our sexual assault center, where we utilize volunteers as victim advocates. So that's our biggest role right now. But I hold those different roles within our organization.
Now, you're with the Underground Railroad. Do you train your volunteers for what they need to do in your agency?
Actually, yes. I will be the first to interview them, to screen them, place them, introduce them to who will be supervising them and doing the direct training for the most part. So I'm the front line, so to speak. And so whether it's internships that somebody's looking for or to just give back to their community, the age range varies from 14 to in their 70s, and so just lots of opportunities. And another part of what I do is go into the community and talk about who we are and what we do, which is what I'm doing right now.
And for you, you are a younger volunteer. Tell us how old you are, if you don't mind.
No, I am just 24, fresh out of college. But I do just everything as well. I do outreach. I do everything. I'm the front line for our volunteers as well. First space to get them connected, whether it's interns or any volunteer opportunity. But I also help in all of our fundraising efforts as well.
Okay. Now, before we came out and got set up here for the mics, I talked a little bit about how you came to be in this position. Mm-hmm. What is it about wanting to be a volunteer coordinator or a community engagement officer? What drew you to this position to help out this particular organization?
Well, if it's all right, Joyce, this
Yes.
is Crystal, and I just want to share that I have these two amazing ladies sitting on either side of me. And Catherine used to be with child abuse and neglect. And
Okay.
so when I graduated from SBSU with my bachelor's degree, I was looking to get involved in a community organization. So I came to the CAN Council, and through Catherine, I became a CASA. And it's just everything, our community, it's tied together, and we all help one another and we all work together. But volunteering is so integral to what we do. And then it was through my volunteering with the CAN Council that Catherine then told me about the position at Underground Railroad. And I went and interviewed and was hired on the spot because of my volunteer work that goes back years and years and years, but most recently because
Yes.
of my time with the CAN Council is how I got my position with Underground Railroad. And now Hannah's with the CAN Council and Catherine is with Child and Family Services. So
So when you mentioned CASA, please explain what that is.
Yeah, so CASAs are court-appointed special advocates. It's a completely volunteer-based program, but it's volunteers that meet with our kiddos in the foster care system about every 7 to 10 days to be their consistent adult in their life and advocate them on every platform in their life. And these are kids that are in foster care, but are also recommended to us by the court system to have this special person in their life, their CASAs. And they stay with them until they're in a safe, permanent home. So they are trained for 40 hours leading up to it. They're interviewed to make sure we get them best fit onto a case. They're sworn into the court system, and they're there. They put in the work, they put in the time, but the kids need them, and we need our CASAs.
Okay, now volunteering is such a big thing in the community. Okay, volunteers are needed. How do you go about getting a volunteer? How do you get people to want to be your volunteer?
You ask them.
Mm-hmm.
That's the main thing is if you don't ask, you're not going to recruit volunteers.
Mhm.
So when you're talking to individuals, you're talking and you're promoting your organization, you're promoting your positions, and you're asking them questions of what their background is, where they see themselves in 5 years, what do they enjoy doing. If they could pick the perfect job, what would it be as a volunteer? And then you're connecting them, but you're building those relationships, but you're adding value to them and saying, we can use you. This is how we can use you within our organization.
There are so many people who want to volunteer, but they're also looking for a paid position.
Yes.
Okay, can any of the volunteers can they transition from a volunteer to a paid position in any of your circumstances?
It depends if there's a position that becomes available
Mhm.
if they're an intern or a volunteer that has this background, if there's a position that becomes available within our organization, we encourage them to apply.
Yeah.
Okay.
So at the CAN Council, I've only been there for about 11 months. And this past annual meeting, we had all of our board of directors and all of our staff members stand up and introduce themselves. And I can say you about maybe 80% of that room had started as volunteers at the CAN Council. And it sparks that passion about what our organization does when you start volunteering, and you just get hooked and you stay on and you build those connections. And once a position opens, like Catherine says, it depends on if there's a position open, but that's really building the connections in the organization.
Do any of your board members go out with you sometimes to recruit volunteers?
Yeah, our board of members are there every single step of the way to help us, whether it's fundraising, outreach, recruitment, everything. They're there, they're passionate about our mission, and they want to do whatever they can to help.
As a young person, that's the last time I'm going to say that. Okay, you're a professional. As a young person, how do you get people your age to want to be a volunteer instead of working? How do you do that? How do you make it make sense to them that they can build a profession of being a volunteer?
Well, actually, my network of people around my age, they're all volunteering. I've been volunteering forever, and they have been as well. And people my age, I think, are starting to more understand giving back to the community and building those connections and how much it has an effect on your professional career as well. And I think it starts right in college and even younger than that, but college is where my eyes were opened up to volunteering, and it's understanding the resources out there as well and how to volunteer, because like as a volunteer coordinator, I'm going to work with somebody's schedule that wants to help us. And so a lot of people don't understand that. Like, we want to connect you to where you're going to best fit in our organization. It's not just one-time volunteering. Like, we take our one-time volunteers to help with events, but we really want to make that relationship and build with them and support them as much as we can in their professional careers.
So as organizers or coordinators, and we're out there recruitment for volunteers, we develop relationships with the different colleges and are on campus for recruitment for whatever health fair they're out there. So we're out there recruiting, talking to students. We're working within the high schools. If there is a health fair at the high school, or they call us and say, hey, can you send a representative to come and talk to our kids on a specific topic, such as domestic violence, sexual violence, to child abuse. But we're also talking to those students and how they will get value from volunteering. So at the same time, we're playing both roles, getting the awareness out and recruiting those young people to feel that they have something to contribute and they have value.
And a lot of people, they have different places where they really, really thrive in this world. Like, say it's marketing, but not a lot of people know that nonprofits still need our marketing efforts. So we can have our volunteers, like, they have these business skills and not maybe so the social work skills. We can connect them into the more administrative side and really just building them and connecting them with the passion of our nonprofits.
And if I can use actual examples that each has given, is we actually, Underground Railroad owns a resale store. And I happened to be in the store one day because my office is in the same building, and somebody rang the buzzer to make a donation. And I was back there, so I went to assist. And she stepped in and looked at our donation room and said, wow, you can really use help. And I said, I sure can. And I put an application in her hand, and she's been with us ever since. And that's probably, 3 to 5 years ago. So it's talking about it and seeing, making the need known. And then also, I can't tell you how many individuals have volunteered or interned with us that it has turned into a paid position.
Okay, very good. Good information. If you've just tuned in to Community Connections, Community Talk for Community People, I'm Joyce Harvin, and my guest this afternoon, I have Crystal Sanders, who is a volunteer outreach specialist with Underground Railroad. And I also have Hannah Naples. She's a community engagement coordinator. And I have Catherine Martinez, and she is the CF, what's your title?
Marketing and fundraising.
Marketing and fundraiser with
Child and Family Services.
Child and Family Services. Okay, Child and Family Services. Now, CASA is with
The CAN Council.
The CAN Council. Yep. Okay, all right. And we are here talking about volunteerism, how to network, get into the community, become a community volunteer while you're also working. But you can also land a job. You can build skills to get into a good job, something that you enjoy doing. We're going to talk about that. We're going to take a break in a minute or so. Can we do that, Rob, right now? And we're going to come back on the other side. And we're going to talk about how becoming a volunteer can really help your resume, and you can build some skills. You're listening to Community Connections, Community Talk for Community People, and I'll be right back.
To Community Connections with Joyce Harvin on KISS 107.1.
It's Straight Talk, straight with no chaser. It's Straight Talk with Kareem Bowen, getting right to the heart of the matter, giving you all of what's happening in Saginaw, in the Great Lakes Bay region, all at a grassroots level. Sundays at 6 p.m. on KISS 107.1.
We come back from break. Perhaps we all just turn to the camera. I can't get everybody there. All guys, some of your heads. So no. I mean, just when you introduce them after the break,
Okay.
they can wave at the camera. That way
Okay.
everyone knows who's talking about.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Very good.
That's why I suggest you do that, because until we get it fixed where we can get a camera to catch everybody, that's what we have to do.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's a wonderful experience to see. I have many interns that I've mentored over the years, and they've come back and said, Catherine, this is what I'm doing, or Catherine, can you give me a letter of reference for a job? And it's so rewarding to see that and see them move into positions that they really enjoy and love. The volunteering gives you that. It shows you what your true experience is going to be, and hopefully you'll get those jobs that you enjoy doing. So
It's very worthwhile. I talk to my nieces and nephews, and people in church about volunteering. Volunteering it just adds more to it. Like you have a better understanding of what's going on in the world. You can look at TV and apply it to that. I mean, there's just a lot.
Just to make you feel more fulfilled.
Absolutely.
And I don't know about these ladies and their roles and what opportunities they're able to provide, but we're able to provide opportunities for groups. And I've had groups of 10 up to nearly 100 that have come to help with
Really?
an event. And I'm very excited about next Tuesday. I have members of the Michigan State Troopers. I have members of the local church. I have a few individuals.
Stand by, 20 seconds, stand by.
So, and from what is that? Youth Corps down on off of Genesee. I got to think of what it's called. Youth Development
Youth
Organization.
development? With
Yes,
Eric
yes.
Eggleston?
Yes, I have them.
Yeah.
Students from that organization.
So you're back with Community Connections, Community Talk for community people. We're just chatting it up in here, on mic, off mic, but there is so much information amongst these three women here about volunteering. It's just good. We just want to tell everybody really good feelings. You mentioned that there's a group of people from the
Yes, with Underground Railroad, we actually have a group of individuals coming on Tuesday. It's going to be members of our local police force. It's going to be members of a local church, members of a youth development organization,
yes.
Youth individuals possibly from ABC. I mean, we're talking 16, 20 people, a local business, TriStar, and we are going to erect a playset at one of our agency-owned homes.
Good.
And I just love collaboration.
Now listen, who's talking is Crystal Sanders, and she's the volunteer coordinator with the Underground Railroad. And I don't know how we can give out information about where you are. People still have to access you, but it's close to the resale shop. Close to under the rainbow.
Well, it was under the rainbow.
Okay.
It's now Underground Railroad Resale next to Subway on State Street.
On State Street. Yeah, and they got this big billboard standing right next here. Yeah. So I want you to turn around and please wave to our watching audience on Facebook so they will know who you are.
I'm Crystal.
Okay.
Yes. I'm Hannah. I'm with the CAN Council, the Child Abuse and Neglect Council.
Sorry.
I'm Catherine Martinez. I'm with Child and Family Services. Thank you for having us.
Yes, absolutely. And thank you guys for being here because we want to get this good information out. I never knew that that law enforcement was volunteering or could volunteer for something like this. Have you utilized volunteers from like law enforcement with your programs?
We work with law enforcement on a daily basis with our multiple disciplinary team and our Children's Advocacy Center. So they work with us on many different cases, but not volunteering.
But not volunteering. Yeah. They are actually working, but getting them to come after work and on their own time.
In my 11 months, I haven't seen it quite yet, but I'm sure they support us through and through. So I'm sure that they would in a heartbeat if we asked.
A big part of getting a volunteer is to ask. You're going to ask them?
Yep.
All right. Very good. How about you?
Because we're a counseling agency, it's very difficult to have groups, but we have had small groups create victim bags for our victims at the hospital. We had Century 21 donate 100. bags of clothing for our victims at the hospital. So they all the employees got together and did that for us. When we had our old building, we had groups clean up our yard, that sort of thing.
Oh, that's good.
But now that we're at a new location, we don't have that service anymore. So it's mostly individual volunteers that we need. Specifically, like I said, our sexual assault victim advocates, they meet with the needs of the victim in the hospital and provide them with the resources that they need to continue the healing process of what they're going through. We use agency representatives. In August, I have 10 events that I need volunteers to help me out there in the community. So those are individual events. So it's helping run a children's activity, handing out the information, but being present in the community. But again, that's where individuals, if you're out there in the community, go to those health fairs, go to those agency fairs, sit at Friday Night Live and visit those agencies that are set up, because they're providing that resource. But if you have a connection with them and you want to volunteer, that coordinator that's sitting out there will say, yep, here's my card, call me. Email me, or can I have your information?
Now, we're going to go back and talk about how you build a career or how you get into volunteering, what the worthwhile thing is at this point. But first, I want to give you an opportunity to give the address, website, telephone number, so that you can be contacted. I want to do this a couple of times before we go off the air. We have another 25 minutes to go, but I want to do this a couple of times. Give us the name of your agency, the location, telephone number, and a website that they can go to find out about volunteering.
Okay, so Child and Family Services is located at 2838 Automotive Center Road. We're right off of Fashion Square Boulevard or Bay Road. Our phone number is 989-790-7500. You ask for Catherine Martinez, or you can jump on our website at www.childandfamilysaginaw, all spelled out, .org. That's childandfamilysaginaw.org. Go right to our Get Involved tab, and you can print out the voluntary application right then and there and submit it. Call, set up an appointment with me, and that's how fast we can get you going.
Got a comment here, Joyce, from one of our watchers here.
Yes.
Said volunteers from Susan Heckman. She says volunteering is a blessing. Crystal makes it rock. Wish I could do more.
All right. Very good. Very good. Go ahead.
Yes. So Crystal Sanders, Underground Railroad, our admin offices are located at 5647 State Street, which is also where our resale store is located. And to contact me, you will call 989-399-0007, extension 105. And our website is www.undergroundrailroadinc.org. And you can learn all about our programs and services, as well as how to get involved as a volunteer at our website.
And when they call, they should ask for you.
Yes, when they call, I gave my direct extension, but if you just call 399-0007, just ask for Crystal.
Crystal, okay.
Yes, at the Can Council, we're located at 1311 North Michigan Avenue, Saginaw, Michigan. It's right over by Covenant, and you can reach us at 989-752-7226 and ask for Hannah Naples. Our website is also just cancouncil.org, and right there you'll find out about all of our programs, and there's a application right there to put in online.
Okay. The Can Council, like several times a year, maybe once, you have those little blue pinwheels.
Yeah, so that is Child Abuse and Prevention Month.
Okay.
That is April, and we need lots of volunteers around that time. We plan our pinwheel gardens. Each pinwheel is just to show the joy that every child should have in their life. And so we have lots of volunteering around then, so that's when we bring groups out. But we have groups all times of the year. We always need volunteers for many different efforts.
So what is special about volunteering, and how can one get into it? What do they get back from being a volunteer?
They get back a place of belonging. So an individual that volunteers, they're volunteering, they're giving of themselves, but they're receiving so much in return. And that is knowing that they helped someone. They helped an organization. They helped make a job easier. So they fulfill a day. I have a volunteer that works 2-3 days a week, and she does nothing but data entry. She's retired, financial advisor assistant, and she loves working with data. So I captured that volunteer. She goes, it makes me feel good that I know that I helped you. I helped you through the day to get your reports done, to get that information in. But then we have the volunteers that work with our survivors, that they feel that they contributed to their healing process. So they're getting that out of that as well, is that they feel that they've connected, they have a place to grow, they have a place of being. So I think that's why most people volunteer. But if they're developing their skills, their job skills,
And that's the important thing.
that is important.
That's really important.
So when you're developing for job skills, you're developing your communication skills, you're developing your networking skills, you're developing your organizational skills. Because if you're helping put on a fundraising event for that nonprofit, you're going out to the community, you're soliciting door prizes, sponsorship, or you're putting together packages to auction off. That's all your technical skills, your creativity skills, and learning to communicate, So, yeah.
I think it's also really like all those skills that you're building, all those different opportunities that you have volunteering, you normally wouldn't have in a normal workplace.
Right.
So you're finding where your skills are, what you're good at, what you're passionate about, all while fulfilling all of those things that Catherine talked about. And it's a great opportunity to give back, but also find out more about yourself.
And if I could just say, I know that Joyce has frequented our resale store and knows our manager, Maurice. And I'm telling you, people love Maurice and Angela who manage the store. And I get the best feedback from volunteers, and they become a family.
Yes.
And that is what's so cool. We have some volunteers. I have one that is there 5 days a week, another that is there at least three, a couple of others that are there at least 3 days a week. And this is choice. This isn't because of any reason that they have to, other than they just want to. And they develop like a little family unit. And I just get the best feedback from individuals, even that just come in once or twice, whether it's students or whatever, that, oh my word, we had so much fun. Maurice and Angela are great to work with. And then our students and those that work in other departments, again, as Catherine and Hannah have said, they're gaining real life skills, career skills, job skills, speaking skills, fitting in and finding their niche skills. I mean, it's just, I can't stress the importance of volunteering enough. It also helps people's health.
And like, you also get to know the organization as well, to share their passion and share their mission with the community too. So even after you're done volunteering, like I actually volunteered for the Underground Railroad when I was in college and was still speaking in college about the Underground Railroad to people from the one time I volunteered. So if you even have this one opportunity to volunteer, whether it's a fundraiser event or like we have different like administrative work at the CAN Council, even if it's just one time, like you still learn about that organization and can help them further by sharing their passion and their mission with the community.
Someone who is afraid to speak and intermingle with people, how would you call that person? Wants to volunteer, but a little bit on the shy side. Don't know.
That's why there's direct volunteer like work and there's indirect volunteer work. So there's always things on the backside that need to be done so that our mission can come to fruition. Like I am very, very passionate about the indirect work because I was a very anxious, shy person before I came to college. And well, now look at me now, but so this is what I've developed from volunteering.
Yes.
But like we have the locker. It's a clothing based a little closet that anyone can come in and get clothing for any of our families in our programs, but foster families as well. But we need those donations sorted. We need them put onto hangers. We need them on our shelves stocked and everything. And then administrative work, we need our brochures cut, folded, and everything. Everything that needs to be done. It's a little tedious work, but if it's done, it means that we get to do our job a little bit easier.
So if somebody is shy and wants to develop their communication skills, as a volunteer coordinator doing outreach events, I would have them come out and do an outreach event with me.
Okay, yeah.
Because this is where the general public comes up to your table, and it can be as small as an activity. Hey, would you like to spin the wheel for a prize? Every spin is a winner. That's all they have to say.
Right.
And the more they get used to saying that, they get more confident, and their self-esteem builds. And then all of a sudden, they're already reciting, oh, we have educational handouts. If you need help with stress management, you need help with, and before you know it, you can sit back as a coordinator and let them do the work. You know?
Yeah, they
So
found their niche.
They found their niche.
Yeah.
And so, as like I said, as a volunteer coordinator, we see that. We assess our volunteers that we have to give them what they need, little by little, whether they realize it or not. So as a great volunteer coordinator, you're building those volunteers to be the best they can be when they're out there.
So volunteering is big. Your job is always busy, okay? But your jobs are professional jobs and funding jobs, okay? Now, funded jobs. Why volunteer? Why seek volunteers when your agency is raising funds and they could just fund a couple of assistants for you?
Well, I would like to speak to that in regard to, as nonprofits, which we all are, we all have very tight budgets. And when you write money for grant dollars, that money has to be used for that specific program or purpose. Volunteers, I hope that they learn, especially as they're volunteering, that volunteers help fill so many gaps that the funding comes up a little short in. And regardless of how a volunteer gives their time with an organization, that time impacts the whole agency. So when somebody's helping with sorting items in the closet at the Can Council, or with our organization, they're helping in the resale store, with Catherine's organization, they're helping fill bags. That may seem so menial, but it is huge because everything is tied to the work of the agency. And, unless our store looks great and has great items in it, people are not going to return. And if things aren't organized in the closet, people aren't going to be able to quickly find things that a family might need in a moment's notice. And when you have those bags to give to somebody that's in crisis, it is huge. So no task in our minds is small. Our volunteers are all valued.
Okay. Well, some people will, again, they will think that because they see you fundraising, they hear about the organization's fundraising, that there is money to pay people, for a position instead of volunteering.
Most nonprofits are required to have volunteers within their organization as part of their grants.
Right.
Okay.
That matching grant.
That matching grant. So depending on the position, for I know for Can Council, the advocates that work in the Children's Advocacy Center, those hours are matched in dollars to provide programs and services to the kids that visit Can Council. Our victim advocates at Child and Family Services, the VOCA grant, the Victims of Crime Act, supplements and matches those volunteer hours, those intern hours, so that we can continue providing programs and services for the community, for the individuals that are using our services. If we could pay people to do the job, we would, but we just don't have the funding to do that. And so that's where we look at volunteers and enjoy the volunteers and recruit those volunteers and make them feel like they're part of the family. I call them the Child and Family family. And that they are.
Child and family.
They're families of Child and Family Services.
Okay.
So it's making that connection with them that they feel, you know what, I've given my time. I'm giving my time because I'm passionate about what we're doing in the community. So yeah, there are some people that say, no, I'm not going to do it if they're not going to pay me to do it. There are individuals like that, but once you get them going and you get them connected, a lot of times they change their mind about that. But it's getting that person into the right volunteer job whether it's our organization, East Side Soup Kitchen, the City Rescue Mission, doesn't
We have
matter.
so many.
Yes.
Yeah, so many here because there is a need.
There's a need.
There's a need. There's a need everywhere.
Yes.
There is. I understand what volunteering is and what it's like, but there is a need. But let me say this. If you just tuned in to Community Connections, Community Talk for Community People, I have three lovely ladies here, and they are talking about volunteerism in their agencies, child and family. Well, I want you guys to say it.
Yeah, so I'm Hannah. I'm from the CAN Council, the
Mhm.
Child Abuse and Neglect Council. We are providing, we're trying to provide communities that are free from child abuse and neglect, and that's what we're building towards.
Okay.
Crystal Sanders with Underground Railroad, and we offer shelter and services to survivors of domestic and sexual violence, stalking, and trafficking.
And I'm Catherine Martinez with Child and Family Services. We're helping individuals and families achieve personal growth and emotional health through counseling. We also have our Sexual Assault Center where we provide free counseling for victims of sexual violence, sexual assault, and their family members.
So if someone calls in tomorrow, maybe you get 10 calls from people, okay? How fast will you be able to mainstream them and get them coordinated and ready to be a volunteer in your office or on the floor, in the resale shop or at an event? How long will it take you to do that?
So as a process, most individual or organizations, you have to fill out a volunteer application, have an interview.
Just like a regular job
application,
Yes.
but it's a volunteer application. Depending on the individual and the schedule that we have, I can see someone this week to set up an appointment and to get them started on the volunteer process. And depending on what role that they want, if they want to help as an agency representative to help me at Friday Night Live at my booth, hey, you can start this Friday. Okay. But if you want to be a victim advocate, you have to go through 15 hours of training. You have to go through a security check. So that may take a little more time to get through that volunteer opportunity role. So it depends on what that role is. And if on the website, you can see if there's training required, what is needed from you. But to start that process, for me at Child and Family, if they call tomorrow, I'm calling them or emailing back saying, yep, when are you available to come in for an interview?
So yes, when that application is put in or a phone call is made, like we start the process from there based on their schedule. And like Catherine said, it depends on the role. Like for our outreach events, if a volunteer would like to come out, all we got to do is make sure that they understand what the CAN Council is and their schedule, and the screening process has been made. But we can get you out to Friday Night Live as well. But then also we have our CASA program, our Court Appointed Special Advocates, and that requires 40 hours of training. That training happens about 3 times per year. And then we, there's an interview that takes place too. So it really depends on how dedicated you want to be, what role you want to be in.
For any of your positions, are there fees that must be paid? And are those fees paid by the volunteer or the person that's wanting to volunteer, or is it paid by your agency?
For us, it's paid by the organization.
Yep, it's paid by our organization as well.
For us, the key fee is for those that want to work directly with clients. It's very minimal, and it is $10. And we do ask the individual to pay that background check fee. But that's the cost, and it's only for those that might work, say, as an intern or directly with clients. If they're helping in the resale store, if they're helping at community events, if they're helping with assembling a playscape, they would not have that screen.
In just a few weeks, school is going to start. But while we have the young people out, maybe not going to camp and they're, staying around town, okay? What type of things, Saturday Night Live or
Friday Night Live,
Friday night,
Light Up the
Saturday Night
City,
Live. I'm watching TV,
Walk a
right?
Hole.
Okay.
There's a lot of activities, and all of us, many nonprofits are involved in a lot of these events coming up. National Night Out, Friday Night Live, Walk a Hole, Great Lakes Health Center, Children's Health Day, Back to School Festival.
Right.
You name it.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of activities that young adults can be involved in.
At this midsummer time,
Yes.
you can
Mhm.
still
Yes.
get in and volunteer.
Yes, I have a
Okay.
young man, he comes in next Monday for an interview. He says he's out of town of the week and he wants to get going. He wants to start volunteering. It's like, I have opportunities. Let's see if it fits into your schedule.
And it goes beyond like just the outreach events. Like for the younger groups, I have, like, if they want to spend their time outside, we have a garden. We have beautification for outside of our building. There can be gardening done. We have lots to do, but then we also, like Crystal, I'm sure can understand, we have the clothing sorting and everything as well on that end.
So for those who are returning to school or going to college
Mhm.
for the first time, okay?
Mhm.
At what point should they ask their instructors or professors about internships? Do they talk with the individual instructor or professor, or do you go to the volunteer center at the college?
I know SVSU in particular, they have a community engagement office where they list their different volunteer opportunities. They also have a career services where you can list your internships there. But me personally, since I went to SVSU, I have connections with professors. So I have a professor that I'm working with right now to make an internship available where she will give the student credit for working with our organization.
Very good.
So it's about those connections, but if any student would like an internship with our organization, it's kind of working with that individual to see what would be best for them. If it's marketing, if it's just administrative, if it's fundraising, and then I would be happy to speak with the professor to build out a plan, because most college courses need to have like an ending goal and like the work in between to make sure that they're fulfilling all of that.
So that they can get credit on their transcript.
Right, and
Yes.
some programs such as social work and criminal justice may require a volunteer internship.
Yep.
I studied sociology, and it wasn't until I was nearly through the program that I learned that I could have set up an internship and actually earn credits being out in the community. So it's just asking questions. Talk to that counselor that's advising you, that academic advisor, whether it's high school or college, as far as trying to guide you through the process, and ask about internship opportunities and what's available.
Because a lot of the internships aren't even needed until your last couple of years of college, when you're already determined on your on whatever program you're doing, whatever degree you're going towards. And if you want to volunteer in the beginning in different various roles, that can help you learn also what you want to get your degree in as well.
Very good. Very good. Hey, this has been very eye-opening. You know, like I told you, I'm a long-time volunteer. You know, I kind of cut my teeth on volunteering. You know, but I'm learning so much about how things are being done, and still about the need. Because you would think that, you know, a lot of the volunteers are not needed at this point in time. You know, I'm big on volunteering, really. I guess the one to volunteer for me. I had definitely enjoyed talking to you ladies this afternoon. It seemed like you have a great camaraderie here. You know.
We do.
Yeah.
And you know, if I can just share that though our organizations, one focuses on children, you know, one mental health and sexual assault, and ours, you know, domestic violence, sexual assault, stalking, and trafficking. The thing of it is that oftentimes we could be serving the same population, and our community is so intertwined, and none of us works as an island, serves as an island. We all, you know, refer to one another, help one another. Sometimes a volunteer will give time at one organization and then serve as an intern at another organization, and it's just so heartwarming.
Or
too.
if a volunteer doesn't fit within our organization, we're also referring them to other organizations.
Oh, that's good.
So
That's
if
really
someone
good.
says, I really want to be an occupational therapist, but I want to be an advocate, and it's like, okay, your career is occupational therapy. Have you tried this organization? Because they could really utilize you at the Mid-Michigan Children's Museum or a Place for Grace, because they work with special needs children. So when I'm interviewing the person as a whole, because if I don't want them to volunteer with us and say, oh, I hate it there. we want to give them the best experience. But if we're not the organization, I'm referring them out to the other. And
Very
Crystal
good.
has referred volunteers to us. And the last one she referred to us is with me to this day. She
Okay.
has not left us as an intern
That's good.
and helping her even develop her own business.
Wonderful.
So walking her through that process
Yeah.
of starting her own business,
Yeah.
but it all came from her volunteering with the organization. So, but we're always helping each other and referring to each other's organization.
And then the other thing that I want to share is the work we do is very, it's really special, but it can be very difficult. Everything that we, all services that we provide to clients are confidential. So if I can just stress that you will sign confidential forms, and whether you're working with our organization or another organization, it's so important that people remember that. And, I have, had individuals come to us and they want to work with the children or, help in that capacity. And maybe at that time there isn't a role for them. So I might refer them to the CASA program or something. And so it's, again, just being aware of what's going on in the community and the roles that we're in. And especially when we have individuals come to speak to us about volunteering, because maybe my organization is a good fit, but I know 10 others that you might be able to go to.
Yes.
So most organizations do have an orientation process as well.
Okay.
So you have your application, you have your interview, you're accepted, you have an orientation.
Orientation.
So that orientation is very important as well because, I didn't realize, no, this is not for me, I can't do this.
Yeah.
Especially if you're becoming a CASA or a victim advocate. Emotionally, I cannot do it. I thought I could,
Right.
and I can't.
Right.
And they've gone through the training.
Yeah.
It's like, it's okay, let's see what else you can do then. We don't want to say no to you. But during the orientation, during the training, we always give them that grace to say, this is not for me.
Yeah.
But that orientation is very important. So there is a process. There are policies and procedures that need to be filled out and signed. So every volunteer that walks through our organization, we're required to have those. So
Have you ever gotten a volunteer and didn't have anything for them to do?
Yes, over at the King Council, it's every now and then we have like certain roles that come up when it comes to fundraising. Like we have committees that are wonderful for our fundraising efforts, but our fundraisers happen every so often. And those individuals, we stay connected with them. We build those relationships to stay connected. And maybe they come in for different things when the fundraisers aren't going on, but they always come back yearly to be on those committees for those fundraisers with us.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've only heard this once in a very long time, and that was I went to volunteer and they didn't have anything for me to do. See? So you guys, I know you always
There's
always
something. There's always some individual little thing, and maybe it's going to take some time till we get exactly where
Right.
you need to be at in our organization to volunteer for your passion. But there's always the little things.
but it's asking that volunteer and respecting them. Would you be interested in sorting out purses? Because I have 100 purses that need to be sorted. Is that something you could do until your training starts?
Well, let me ask this, just, as we're talking about like the resale shop or you have things in your closet or whatever, do you know what the protocol is for things that are donated that have to be sorted to be resold? Are volunteers afraid to come in and touch that type of commodity, I guess?
And I'm just going to share this, anybody is encouraged or is welcome to wear a mask. Anybody's encouraged to wear gloves when sorting donations. And to be very honest, we appreciate every single donation because it's the thought behind the donation, because they are looking to support the work that our organization does.
Right.
And is everything in usable, sellable condition? No. So there's a lot of discretion used on that. And and then we also work with other nonprofits that maybe we can't utilize certain items. We might pass it along to them. And some items that come in, because we know they're needed right at the center, they're not even going to go in our store. They're going to go right to our safety center and go, to be used for the women and the children that reside within the shelter.
Okay, very good. But we have just a few minutes left. I want to give you each a minute, maybe a minute and a half, and give us your best pitch for volunteers and your organization. And we're going to start with Catherine.
Okay. Looking for personal growth, you're leading into emotional health. Child and Family Services would love to have someone that is passionate and committed to wanting to help an individual in the community, whether it's a victim advocate to an agency representative. Everyone that comes through our organization, even if you're coming in and want to learn more about us, you become an ambassador. Because the more you know what the organization is doing, the more you're going to help somebody else out in the community. So even if you just want to come in for a tour, love to have you come in. But if I can get you as a volunteer, man, that is icing on the cake. So thank you.
Great.
This is Crystal
All right,
with Underground and Run, and I don't know what I can add to that. I've had individuals that have come in and, they want to give back, they want to help, but maybe as we start talking, we kind of learn that maybe it's not quite the right time because maybe they have some experiences that are still raw and the pain is still there. And so we may even refer them to services, but it's all about learning your niche and what you're passionate about. And, we would love to have you as a volunteer, but again, as Catherine said, you become an advocate as well.
Yeah, so at the Ken Council, we have our CASA program that we talked about, and we also have very many needs for outreach events, and we have the locker. We're starting to bring it to fruition, and you can help and bring us this project to light. And just if you're passionate and want a building tour, everything here at the Ken Council as well.
I want to say thank you, ladies, for being my guests this afternoon, for the volume of information that you have shared with our listening audience. I'm sure that you're going to get calls from volunteers because it is a worthwhile thing to do, and you represent your agency very well.
Thank you,
I like that.
Joyce.
Yes. And I want to remind the listening audience that on July 27th is Jazz in the Gardens at 6:30. Pride on July 29th, Friday Night Live. The food truck face-off is on July 29th also as well. In August, it's time to vote, okay? And then, very important, August 6th, Vicky Hill's Saginaw Gospel Fest at Ojibwe Island. And August 12th to 14th is the Saginaw African Cultural Festival. Get there, be there, have a great time at all of these events. Thank you for listening. I'll talk to you next week. I'm Joyce Harvin with Community Connections, Community Talk for community people. See you next week.
Joyce Harvin on KISS 107.1. The views and opinions expressed on Community Connections by the host, its guests, or call-ins do not necessarily represent the opinion of this station, the staff, its owners, Alpha Media USA, or its advertisers.